Okay, guys, yes, it did take me until 2 weeks into the year to finally do my best of 2024, but it's here now, so let's go. So I've got some honorable mentions. One is the Skinjacker trilogy by Neil Shusterman. I really liked this one. I talked about this one in one of my vlogs, and it's about kids who go into like purgatory. Basically, it's like purgatory for kids, and if they stop moving, they sink into the earth. It's just it's fun. It's fun. And then next was a debut called Martyr with an exclamation point. I have a review of this one as well. Um, it's about a guy who is like really laid back Muslim. He describes himself as being as Muslim as a Catholic who only goes to church on Easter and Christmas. So yeah, he's pretty laid back Muslim, but he's writing a book of Muslim martyrs and wants to end it with himself. Yeah. So next is Tampa. I've talked about this one. This is about a woman who became a teacher specifically to prey on 14-year-old boys. And I loved the representation in this. While it is told from the teacher's point of view, you get to see how sick and disgusting these women are and how easily these boys fall prey to it. And then the last honorable mention is The White Ship. This is actually written by Princess Diana's brother. It is about the White Ship that sank in 1120, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to double check. And it killed Henry I's heir and basically caused a war called the Anarchy. If anybody's read The Pillars of the Earth, it takes place during that war. All right, so my favorite book I read in 2024 is Windows on the World. Now, you can probably guess what this is about. It's about 9/11, about people stuck in the restaurant Windows on the World, and it was provocative. It's also about the guy trying to write the book. So it was provocative, and it was originally written in French, and there was something in like the post notes saying as how he took some stuff out because he thought he was going too far. That was a little disappointing. I wish he would have gone that far because while this was, I mean, it's a book about 9/11, Windows on the World. So there we go. And I think it was written in like 2004 because it was talking about how they were going to build a wall in Israel. As we know, that wall's already up. So it's a little bit dated. At the same time, loved it. And it's very, very literary. And I had read that book while I was reading. I had read a bunch of fantasy and just book club type books, book club historical fiction. And it just reminded me how much I love really, really high literature books and just how much I'd missed them. So then next, speaking of book club books, is Horror Store. Now, this, I don't read a lot of adult horror. This is by the same person who did one of my favorite horror books, Southern Vampire one, that one. The Southern Housewives Guide to Slaying Vampires, or the Southern book, that one. And I really liked that one, and I liked Horror Store even more. Essentially, this is just a haunted house novel that takes place at a furniture store. And the main character is like in college or dropped out of college, and she's just really beat down. And that was like me when I was 24. Like the main character was just me, just jaded and just over it, hated her job. Well, I didn't hate the furniture store I worked at, and I had a lot of good friends. The job itself was really, really stressful, and it paid really poorly, and whenever something went wrong, you were the one blamed for it, so it was just kind of like you got paid to be a punching bag. But, yeah, so haunted house taking place at a furniture store. The book is meant to look like an IKEA catalog. That's basically it. All right, and then the next is actually a play. It's The Miracle Worker. I've talked a little bit about this one in a video that I'm going to relist after I get my payout. It's about Helen Keller's teacher, and it's the things I loved most about it was how it portrayed the parents of Helen Keller getting in the way of this brilliant teacher who knew what she was doing. And oftentimes to get a really big breakthrough in a community, or just in a class or even with a kid, sometimes it takes an outsider to come in and see what the parents aren't seeing, yet the parents are in the way. They want to do it their way, but their way is not working. So that was great. And then the final scene, which I'm sure we've all seen from the movie, of Helen Keller discovering water, and that breakthrough moment when they finally get it, and especially that kid who has just been an asshole to you, that feeling, like, I am getting goosebumps right now. That feeling when a kid who has treated you so poorly gets it and finally recognizes that, hey, you're only trying to help and you did them a favor. It's an amazing feeling, and it's represented here really well. And then the next one is another play. It's The Crucible. And I had never read it, unfortunately. Never seen it, nor read it. It's about the Salem witch trials. It is fictionalized. I'd never seen the movie either. I watched the movie after reading the book. I didn't really like the movie. The direction was so bad, or the directing was so bad, it just got in the way of those. That last moment, because it is my name, is like classic Daniel Day-Lewis. If you want my opinion on method acting, we'll go there another time. But yeah, so this is in 4 acts. It's about the Salem witch trials. And what I find interesting a lot of times is that pretty much everyone knows in Salem they were not witches, yet people still believe in witchcraft, yet they accept that in Salem they weren't witches. I don't know, it's weird. But I looked into some of the main characters. A lot of them were fictionalized, but John Proctor actually received an official pardon, I think in like 2007 or something, which I think is pretty cool. So when he goes into that, oh, it is my name, I can't ever have another, that didn't really resonate with me until some stuff happened at my job. And when someone's defiling and defaming your name's always going to be attached to that, meaning you will always be attached to that even when you're gone. So the big theme really hit it with me, and I quite honestly don't really know that much about the Salem witch trials. I've heard that like moldy bread and hallucinogenic mushrooms were part of it, but I've also heard that later the girls came forward and just said they made it all up. And then last is a poetry collection, Anthem for a Doomed Youth. This is by Wilfred Owen. He was a World War I poet who was very, very tragically killed in action. And the poems in here, just some lines stick with me. What passing bells for these who die as cattle, and sunlight is like a blood smear. Just how horrific that specific war was. Of all the wars fought, I think World War I might have been the most gruesome and the worst. And they had never seen a terrible war up until that point. Obviously, we've got World War II, which I think might have been a little bit more deadly, but just the way empires fell. The Ottoman Empire, like, that had been around since the Middle Ages, and then boom, it's gone. The Tsar, and just how world-changing it was, and how terrible trench warfare was. That's really, really portrayed in Anthem for a Doomed Youth. So those are my best of 2024. If you didn't see my last video with the worst, yeah, little change with the hair. Not a huge fan of the short look, but I was tired of it getting caught in my oxygen mask, really hurting me. So there we go. Thank you for watching. Sorry about the bad lighting. I gotta figure, I don't even think I'm gonna figure something out because I'm gonna be out of this godforsaken town, at least in May, so it's not worth setting up a studio. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye, guys.